So if you look at my screen, you can see that all I did was go to Google and type in a plumber near me. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that I'm in incognito mode. This is super important because if you just do a normal search without being in incognito mode, Google knows who you are. They know where you are. They're going to show you results that they think is most relevant to you. So if you're running a plumbing business and you're searching for a plumber from your location, then you're almost guaranteed to see yourself first. And a lot of people will see that they're on top of Google and they're like, oh, cool, I don't have to do anything. My work here is done. But really, Google is showing them customized results just for them. So if you go into incognito mode, Google doesn't like this browser no longer knows my location. I'm not logged into any account. They don't know who I am, where I am, or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm more likely to see search results that are what normal people would see. And so when I go into incognito mode and I type in plumber near me, Google's going to look at my IP address and say, okay, this person is in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So we're going to show them plumbers in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So I do a search for plumbers near me. And the very first thing I see at the top of the screen is some Google ads. So this is called Google Guaranteed. This is like a new service that Google does in some places for some businesses. And you pay them on a monthly basis to show up here, and they'll do like some background checks and some other verifications to make sure that you are a legit company, that you're worthy of being shown here at the top of the screen. And that's why they do this Google Guaranteed thing. Right below the Google Guaranteed ads is the normal Google ads. So this is people paying per click. You've probably heard that before, PPC. You can pay Google to be here at the top of the search results. And every time somebody clicks on your link or your ad, you will pay them a certain amount. For plumbers in this area, it's about $25 per click, give or take. So, you know, if it takes 10 people to click on your ad to get one to actually become a customer, then you're spending about $250 to get a customer. So that may or may not be profitable for you. Right below the ads, we've got Google Maps. It's free to sign up for Google Maps. You can go to googlemybusiness.com. I've got articles and videos about this that can help you get started. So if you're interested, I'll make sure that the links are provided to you. This is just the place to be. You can see below here, we've got some frequently asked questions, and then we have the normal search results. So this is what Google used to look like. You would put in a search and you would see this. Every year, Google is adding more and more stuff to the top of their search because they want people to use their services. You know, this frequently asked questions box is a Google service. If you click on here, you might get your answer without even having to leave Google. Google Maps, obviously, is a Google service. If you can find what you're looking for without leaving Google, then they've reached their goals here. So just looking at this Google Maps box, we notice a few things right off the bat. First of all, we have a map. So if we recognize our location on this map, we might pick a company that's really close to us. We can also see reviews. The first thing that my eyes are drawn to are these yellow stars. And I've been using the internet for a long time, so I'm automatically looking for reviews. If a company has no reviews, like 24-hour plumber here, I'm pretty much going to disregard them because I have better alternatives right here. And you can see that neither of these companies have 5 stars. So if there was one here that had 5 stars, I'd probably just click on that one unless it was only one review. The point here is that reviews are super important, and I'm going to talk more about that later. But we have a lot of information here. There's a lot of screen real estate being used by the Maps box. And this company's got a website link. So if I click on that, I'll go over to their website. It's got their hours of operation, their phone numbers, pretty much everything I need. If I need to get a plumber here right now, I can do it from the Google Maps box. Again, Google Maps is actually called Google My Business. You can sign up for a listing for free. They will send you a postcard and you type in the code that's on that postcard to verify your listing. And as soon as you do that, that listing will be live. Now, Google Maps works mostly off of proximity. So if if somebody's like standing up front of your business and they search for a plumber or whatever your business is, they're most likely going to see you on Google Maps because Google Maps wants to show whoever's closest. But there's also a lot of other factors that come into that. So there's 3 tips that I want to give you about Google Maps that can help you make sure that your company is one of the top 3. If you're in the top 3, you're going to show up in this box. If you're not in the top 3, you're only going to show up when somebody clicks on view all and looks through this long list of plumbers. So you can see there are loads of plumbers. There's 9 pages of plumbers in my area, but it's only those top 3 that are getting seen by anybody. So it just goes to show that being in the top 3 is worth its weight in gold, even though it doesn't weigh anything. I think you get the point. So the first we should just go through what it looks like on the back end. So once you get your listing verified, you're going to log into Google My Business and you're going to see a screen that looks like this. And, going down through the thing I look at the most here is performance. So I can see, over the last 28 days, there's been about 1,100 views for my listing. 890 of those were just from people searching, and a total of 123 interactions with my listing. So we have a lot of pictures. So that's why there's a lot more activity than searches. But you can see just in here that it shows me how many times these pictures have been viewed, which is kind of cool. We have some pictures that have been viewed tens of thousands of times, which is pretty fun. If we go to insights, which is something that you'll want to do on a regular basis once you get your listing going, you'll be able to see some information about who's finding it, what they're typing in, which is invaluable if you are marketing for your business. So you can see here in the last month, it gives me a day-by-day scale of how many people are finding me. I can go back to a quarter and see trends. So you can see the trends picking up a little bit. We had a huge spike this day for some reason. And below that is customer actions. Now this is really fun because you can see what people are actually doing. So you could see in the last quarter, 22 people have called me just through this listing. So that means they typed me into Google and they came down, they clicked on a listing and they hit the call button. So if you click this button, or if you click this button right here with the phone number, it's going to register as a call in here. So that's not the only way we get calls. Some people type it into their phone. Some people go to our website, call us from the website, but we can see how many people called just from the Google listing. And something they just added recently, which is really awesome, is this performance, see new profile performance. So they're actually, if you click on that, let's see, it'll open this little pop-up and you'll actually be able to go back 6 months now instead of 3. So that's super awesome. You can see here that in December, we had 10 calls from this listing. We have multiple listings, by the way. And we could just see the trends. And what's even cooler, in my opinion, is we can see what people are typing in. So 16 people found us through and called us by searching construction companies near me. Affordable restoration and remodel, that's the name of another business, but people are finding us when they're typing in their name. What else we have? Construction contractors, remodeling contractors, bathroom remodeling. Bathroom remodels are our favorite kinds of jobs. We're a remodeling company. And so showing up for these kinds of searches is money in our pockets. So what else do we have in this profile here? We can see our reviews here. We've got 12 5-star reviews. That's not that many, but it's enough to help people feel like they can trust us, which is all that really matters. And once you get this, you'll want to go through and explore all these things. So the 3 tips for improving your business listing here, or at least making sure that it's set up correctly. There's 3 main things that I'm going to talk about in this webinar. The first thing is categories. So if you press info and you go over here to just to the right underneath your name, you're going to see what categories or category that your business is listed as. I can't tell you how many people might be a plumber, like an emergency plumber or whatever, but their listing says that they're a plumbing store or a furniture store even. Like sometimes the categories are just wrong and your business isn't going to show up for anything. And I see it all the time. People have a website, they have their Google Maps listing, but there's just one thing set up wrong that's completely making it completely useless. So it's super important that all these things are set up correctly. And categories is one of the main ones. When you click on the little pencil button, you'll see you have a primary category and additional categories. I put in general contractor because that's what we are. And you'll want to kind of pay attention to your competition when it comes to this. If you have a load of competition and you're in a highly competitive area, you're going to want to look at what other listings use as their category and see if there's one that none of the big guys are using, or just look for opportunities. Sometimes you'll find that everybody's using one category when another category might get you the jobs that you want. So if you use a category that everyone else isn't, you might show up for those searches better than they do. Some argue that you don't want to have too many categories. Again, it depends on how competitive your area is. If it's super, super competitive, maybe having one category is better because it will focus everything on that one category. If you're in a less competitive area, I think it's better to just have all the categories that are relevant. You don't want to pick things that aren't relevant. Spamming or adding every category under the sun won't help you. Keep them relevant, but add the ones that you want to show up for search. The next, let's see, did I miss anything on that one? Nope. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is locations. So you can see right below the categories, right below my address, you have service areas. So most likely, if you're a service business, you cover sort of a wide area, or you cover multiple cities, counties. You want to make sure that all of those cities and counties are in here. Now, if you cover a really wide area, like multiple states, we've found that sometimes it's better to not have a service area because, just for an example, we have a client that covers 2 states. And when we took them on as a customer, they didn't have a category set and they were showing up for searches all over those states. When we went ahead and put the locations in there, they stopped showing up for everywhere except the locations that we put in, which isn't what we wanted. So we ended up removing those locations, and Google went back to showing everything that was showing them everywhere. And this is a good time to highlight this point that marketing isn't something that you just set up once and forget about it. It's not, what is it, the George Foreman grill, set it and forget it. You don't set it and forget it. You set it and then you look and see what happens. And depending on what happens, then you go back and make changes again. And then you wait and see what happens. And you keep doing that over and over again because the internet's changing, the market's changing, customers' mindsets are changing. And most importantly, in this case, Google is changing. Google is constantly changing the way that they do things. So what works one year might not work the next year. And it's up to you or whoever's handling your marketing to pay attention to this stuff and make sure that everything stays working, because it could stop working one day. And if you don't notice it for 2 years, you might just think that nobody's searching for your type of business anymore, when in reality something changed on your marketing and it's just needs to be tweaked a little bit. So look at your locations, make sure that they're accurate, If you cover a super large area, you might consider testing not even having a service area and just see what happens. The last thing I want to talk about, so well, let's recap real quick. Number one was the categories. Let's go back to that page. Number one, have the right categories. Number two, have the right locations. Number three is all about reviews. So like I said earlier, we have 12 5-star reviews. Almost everybody that calls us and that we talk to says that they read our reviews, and that was one of the main things that impacted their decision to call us.